What up, what up, what up? Alright guys, hi there. We are getting started. I am starting a little bit early. I do realize it's about 5 minutes early, but I had some problems with my software doing what I wanted it to, and I just wanted to make sure I gave everyone a little bit of an extra chance to find the link and get settled in. So as you're getting in here, please let me know where you're joining me from. I always love to get to know my viewers. I do have the chat up, so even though I'm new to this software, I do have the chat up. I am fully prepared and hoping to answer everyone's questions along the way, so please ask. And we are ready to get started. For those of you that are new, I am Jen. I am new to streaming live. This is a new experiment for me. I was doing tutorials before that, but again, I procrastinate the post-production part of it, so I am hoping that this will just be a little bit of an easier way for me to get in touch with you guys and continue teaching what I love, which is crochet. So before we jump into today's project, because I got a lot of fun things for you guys, shout out to my nails. I am a Color Street stylist, and this is my other addiction. And this is my new set for the week, so I'm really happy with it because it's actually supposed to be what's called an overlay. It's like a tinted clear pink nail polish, but it has some glitter in there. So it's usually designed to go on top of a solid, but I did not have a solid in. Hi, I see someone from Auburn. Hi there. I'm so glad. That's my hometown. I love it. Yes, so this nail polish, it's supposed to go on top of a solid, but I didn't have any, and I wanted to wear it anyway, and I'm kind of glad I did, because it just looks really fun and natural, and I'm really liking the outcome, and Color Street truly has the best glitter nail polish. Honestly, the only reason I'm a stylist is because I love the product, so that's what got me into this. But if you guys want to check it out, that link is below in the description. I have that. That'll take you to my VIP group if you want to get to know the product more. It will also take you straight to the brochure if you just want to get shopping and see what great deals are going on right now. I know they have some new stuff coming up, so definitely check that out. Now, let's get into stitching and some things that are new. I did forget to mention something, and I am sticking to my notes today because my ADHD will get ahead of me if I don't. I created a free tool for all you guys. So in the description, if you head to the resources section, you are going to see this, and I'll actually pull it up so you can get a sneak preview. There's a link. It is connected to a Google Drive, but it'll allow you to download it, and it's a printable PDF. So if you guys want to steal that, especially if you're a beginner, because if you're a beginner, I can guarantee you, you are probably hearing things like single crochet, double crochet, back loop, third loop, post, and you're probably like, what language am I trying to learn, and why am I trying to learn a new language? I thought I was just trying to make some projects. That is what this tool will help you with. So let's see here. It has a fun little graphic and everything. This will also give you a link to everything genetics. It'll take you to my Etsy store. It'll have a link for this YouTube channel. So if you ever just lose things, print this off. It'll take you right there. But it also has the crochet language, which is truly perfect because it's going to, and I'm just making sure I'm sharing this good. I did. But it'll help you as you're reading patterns. Maybe you're looking at a few different things that you want to try and you can't find a video on it. This will tell you exactly what all these fancy dancy abbreviations mean. What my goal is for this class is to teach you guys more about the patterns. So again, if you guys have specific things that you are looking at and you really want to learn it, I encourage you to send it to me. I have a lot of things planned for the next few weeks, but I may put that as a class instead. And if it helps you figure out how to learn a new project, I'm all about it. I'm all about it. I just want you guys to learn. So definitely take advantage of that. And then it also has crochet diagrams. I don't know if you know this, but they have like a lot of graphics out there that will map out crochet patterns, and you literally have all of these in like grids, and it's kind of nice because it's like a one-pager and you can see it all at a glance. I probably should have grabbed a couple samples for you, but this is how you read it, and it's very common with like granny squares and doilies and things like that. You're going to often find them as crochet diagrams. I personally like it because then I don't have to like read through things. I can just like mark it on a page. But that is for you in the resources section, so definitely go there, grab that. It's free, and print that off. So today I wanted to take you guys into the basket weave stitch. So let me make sure that carried over. Perfect. Basket weave stitch. This one is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome if you want to start creating texture, but you're a little intimidated by some of the things that you might be seeing out there, because it really is just using a stitch that many beginners learn early on, which is a double crochet. I'm going to walk you through it. But if you want to really dive into a real detailed tutorial, I do have one. I already put the link down below in the description for the double crochet video. It will show you 3 different ways to use that stitch to create different looks. But today that's what we're going to be doing, is using the double crochet and just changing up how we use it to create this texture. I'm only pulling up these, so I wanted to show you different ways that it can be used. You can do it with little boxes like this, which is kind of nice. I usually make big giant boxes, and I'll show you the blanket I have in a second. I made it as a Christmas gift to my family, and it was kind of more bigger box like this. And this is actually an alpine stitch, so forgive Google for getting that one wrong. But the big chunky look on a crochet blanket, this looks absolutely fantastic. I'll go ahead and show you what I have right now, but I just want to give you guys an idea, because it can also be used as beanies. You saw, where did it go? Go figure. That would happen. Ah, there it is. See, right here, you can use it as beanies. This is a great one for beanies. I've done that. I haven't tried it on a headband yet. I do plan to, or maybe I have, but I sold it. I can't honestly remember. After you do so many projects, it kind of goes a little wonky. But let's go ahead and show you the blanket. This is what I'm going to show you as much as I can. It's a chunky blanket. This one I made both in, this is the Bernat fuzzy yarn that it's called Bernat blanket yarn. They also have a baby blanket yarn I would totally recommend. I put the links for both of those in down below. They are affiliate links. Again, you guys know the drill with those. But what I love about this one versus another brand I tried some Loops and Threads, I think. It was their Chanel one. This one doesn't shed. It's really good at not shedding. The Bernat blanket yarn is really good at not shedding. But the baby blanket yarn I've heard more so than the other, but I haven't tried the baby one. I actually tried the regular one, and for me it was beautiful. So any of those I would totally recommend. Again, the links are down below. Get this out of the way so I don't accidentally click something here. Okay, and literally this is the chunky side. So let's say, one thing I would say, the Bernat blanket yarn, it's fuzzy. If you are a beginner, it can be difficult to see the stitches, and if you're not familiar with how they look and feel already, you might be getting overwhelmed with trying to find out where to put your hook. And the fuzzier the yarn, like the Chanel yarn can get really fuzzy, the harder it's going to be for you. But I know this chunky look is super in right now, and I would hate for someone to be intimidated and not use it. So what I recommend doing, I use acrylic yarn. And Pound of Love right now is my favorite. That's not what I'm using right now, but I was trying to find something that the camera would be easy for you guys to see. But double strand your yarn. And this is not part of the demonstration, so I will go fast. Don't worry, the demonstration part's going to be super not fast. But literally, when I say double strand, you're putting them together, and you are working both strands at the same time as if they were one. If you do this for an entire pattern, it will create that chunky look. And the great news is, look how easy it is to see those stitches. So you're not going to have that same difficulty seeing where to insert your hook. You just got to make sure you grab both strands every time. So that is an option for you. I totally recommend it. I did that this year with the Pound of Love yarn. I made my niece an amazing basket weave blanket, just doubling up, and the weight was really good. And I love that acrylic yarn because it's a little bit softer than the Red Heart that a lot of people are used to feeling, that rough, coarser one. The Lion brand Pound of Love, great price, and it's a little bit softer, so it tends to be a little bit more fun to work with. Now, today, we're just going to do a swatch. If you don't know what a swatch is, it's just like a little baby project. We're just going to do a small little section right there, just so that way you guys can practice it. So if you have some scrap yarn hanging around, this is a good time to bust out that and just play around. I do that a lot when I'm practicing new stitches because I don't always want to commit to a full project if I'm not sure I'm going to be able to create the desired effect. So just grab some yarn that you have going around. I'm going to walk you through the basket weave stitch and then show you how to manipulate it so you can use it for whatever project you want once we're done with this tutorial. But I'm going to give you the most high-tech demonstration of these projects. The basket weave is a boxed effect. So whatever you're making, if you're making, oh yes, let's make the pen not work. It's because this is rough. Okay, if you're making a scarf, you may only want to go 3 boxes across, and then you can keep going, and you just want to kind of plan it out. When I make my blankets, I usually do, that is such a bad, okay, ignore my drawing skills right now, but I usually do 5 across and then 6 high. I know that's a lot to be thinking ahead of time, but just to give you an idea of how this works out, what I'm going to be doing for today is to walk you through 3 boxes. I'm going to be keeping the boxes super small so we can all collectively like see the desired effect very quickly. And then as you guys go and take this and make it a blanket or make it a scarf, you can go ahead and add or whatnot. Now, I also incorporate a kind of border as I go. This is only because it helps you create kind of a raw, not unfinished, but like a raw finished effect without it looking shabby. Because if you don't create this border, that I will show you, I will walk you through it, but if you don't create it, it kind of just leaves unclean edges. So the reason I went into all this is I'm going to be chaining 15 plus the desired sides of the border, which is 1 stitch each. And that's just because I'm trying to make these all 5 stitches across. So 5 on this box, 5 on this box, 5 on this box, and then I want 1 on each border. If you're doing a blanket, you may be chaining 200. I am so sorry. Happy counting. There's a reason I don't do blankets very often, but just make sure that you're doing a number that you can divide by the number of boxes you want to do, and you might want smaller boxes, you might want larger ones, but you always want to add 2 stitches, 1 for each side, so that you can incorporate that in. Awesome. I'm glad you love the drawings, Jen, because I used to consider myself an artist, and now I'm really questioning my skills, but that's okay. We are here to learn this and not that. So let's go ahead and start grabbing our yarn, and we're going to start with a slip knot. Again, I have the open side right here. My yarn's being fed. It's connected to the yarn ball way over here, but I won't trouble you with that hot mess that's on the left. We're going to keep it hidden for a reason. But I literally just go over my fingers, create that X, and just don't pull it all the way through. Okay? Now I'm going to show you 2 different ways to start this. I'm a fan of foundation crochets, but I know a lot of people don't know those yet. They are a new trend that everyone's talking about, but I will tell you I'm a huge fan of it. But let's start with what most beginners would, and we're going to chain. Again, we want to do 3 boxes of 5 stitches. I know it's a lot of math for an early afternoon, or at least it's an early afternoon here. 3 boxes of 5 stitches each, so 15, and then we want to throw on 1 on each side, so 15, 16, and 17. We're going to chain 17. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I probably should have slowed down if you don't know how to chain. You're literally just going to yarn over and pull through 1 loop. So that's 11, yarn over, 12, I do not, that's like wax, lovely, 13, 14, and 15. We want the side 16, the other side 17, and then now we've got the base. Now I'm doing a double crochet across for the first row. Whenever you need turning chains, double crochet is typically 2 or 3. It's 3 if it's a looser pattern, it's 2 stitches if it's a just normal pattern. So in order for me to turn and still maintain 17 stitches across, I have to incorporate a turning set of chains. In this case, it's going to be 2 because we're going to be doing double crochets. So 1, 2. There are some fancy ways I have seen to hide this even more, but we can cover that in another video because that I'm still figuring out how to consistently get that one right. Double crochet. Let's go. Again, if you want something super slow and breaking this down far more than I do today, please hit the link. There's a double crochet video, tutorial, full tutorial down below in the description. It is great to follow through. You're going to yarn over. You're going to insert the hook into, let's go get something so you guys can see against my fat fingers. Well, they're not that fat, but... Alright, we're going into the third chain. So 1, 2, 3. We're going into that chain. Because remember, those chain 2 are only turning stitches. So yarn over, insert into that one. Then, and let me just make sure I'm still in frame, okay. We're going to pull through 1 loop. Pull through 2. Pull through 2. That is a double crochet. That is it. So we're going to be doing that in each stitch across. Pull up 1, 2, and 2. And I think, forgive me, I know people are probably following me from everywhere at some point. I also know it's in US, this is a double crochet, but it's also known as a treble crochet elsewhere. This is why I wish things were a little bit more consistent, but someone out there wanted to make it difficult. So always just verify when you're looking at patterns if it's written in US, because that will drive you nuts if you accidentally ignore that, and if you were supposed to be making a different stitch, it will obviously change your project. So we are going across. This is where if I had a tutorial, I would just go ahead and double time this and speed it up for you guys, but instead you get to listen to my beautiful voice while we do this. But we are, and I've totally lost count, so if you're like me, totally lost count already, but we will end up with 17 double crochets when you are finished. This might be a good time to remind you guys to subscribe. That way you guys can be notified every time I go live. I am going to be doing class, if life continues to work in my favor, every Wednesday at 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So feel free to join me, and I love the fact that my classes, when they're on YouTube, they just go straight in as videos, so if you can't join, at least you guys can still get the information after. Alright, so you should have something that looks like that. Now we need to create a turning chain again, so we are going to chain 2 and turn. This is where the front post, back post, double crochet start, and this is what's going to create that texture. So, for the first section, we are not, notice, this counts as your stitch. This is your first stitch. So you're going to leave that one alone, and we're going to be going into this stitch first. So, and we're going to be going around the post. Don't overthink it. When it says post, it's because that is a post. And then on the other side, we're going to be going from behind on the post. So, we've got our chain 2. That is our first stitch. Yarn over. Find that post. Go under, and now we're working the double crochet right there. The stitch isn't different, it's just where you're putting the stitch, okay? So we're going to do 5 front post double crochets. And I'm going to go as slow as I can. I tend to forget to slow down so you guys can follow along. Yarn over, grab the post, 1, pull up 2, pull up 2, grab that post, grab the post. Okay, now I'm going to stop here. We've done 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is our border. See how it kind of is recessed? You can kind of see it when the light hits it. That's going to be that way all the way up, which is going to create a nice finish when all is said and done. So this is going to be raised just like you see it, but now we've got to create recesses here and then a raised pattern here. So this is where back post double crochet is going to come in. It's no different. It's just a double crochet again. Just where are we putting it? Yarn over. Reach around the back side and you're still grabbing the post. You're just pulling it towards the back. Okay, so again, I go under the box, in front of that post, and then you're pulling up 1, 2, 2. Yarn over, back post. Don't overthink it. You just want to grab that post. You could if you want. Turn it, and do this, but good heavens, good luck getting a rhythm that way. So just try to navigate through the box in front of the post and out. When you come down, if you are grabbing any stitches, some of you may be grabbing these, just turn your hook, literally rotate it facing down, and you'll avoid catching any yarn that you don't want. That was 2. We're going to do 3 more. See that? I hate the back post. The back post is always the hardest. If you guys can get through the back post, you're through the hardest part of this. So turn it down. There we go. That's 3. We are at 4. And we are at 5. Fantabulous. Okay. See how it's starting to change? It'll look way better when you get more rows. Just trust the process. We're going back to the front post double crochet for the next 5. And then I'll show you what to do at the end. So 1, 2. How you guys doing out there? 3. Don't get tangled. Don't do it. 4. And 5. Now, you are going to have this turning chain. That's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to just work another post. I say post, it's a front post double crochet just around that side. And you'll find that it will naturally create another recessed or a slightly recessed one over time, because it tends not to pull to the front, it tends to pull sideways, only because that's on the edge. Don't ask the science behind it, I don't have it, but I just know it will start kind of rotating out and staying where it is. Awesome, so we've got 2 rows. Let's do 1 more before we switch it up so you can see how the boxes start to look differently. I might do 2 more, but what are we doing? Chain 2 and turn. Let me get some more slack here. Okay. Now we're reversing it. So here, these are back post. We need to stick, well, it was actually front post here, but now that you've turned it, it's going to be a back post. So we're going to switch and do back post double crochets here. Now this counts as our border, so we need to do 5 back post double crochets. If you do the wrong one, you will quickly see that you are starting to create this pattern and you will know something doesn't look right. Then go back and fix it, because what's going to happen is you're going to get another protruding line right here where that braided area is going to start popping out towards us, which is what we want. So back post double crochet, yarn over, you're going to grab that back post. Hopefully let me see if I can just show you guys just a little bit better, just in case. But if I pull that, I'm going to try not to move it, and through. And again, turn it facing down. It will help you not grab any unwanted strands. Pull 2, pull 2. Back post. And 2. Back post. And then 1 more. Alright, now on this one, we want to create that front post. So we're going to reverse it for 5. And just like you see, I'm going to grab the post and work the double crochet. Grab the post and work the double crochet. There we go. I got 2 more. And as you can see, we're getting that nice, we've got the horizontal lines and we've got the vertical lines, which is always nice. So we're going to do 5 more back post double crochets. to finish this row. Should be 5 if you guys are counting. I know I am the worst at counting. Can I get a shout out from all the viewers who do not count? It's either that or you always end up counting like really loudly to try to save all the distractions that are happening around you. Alright, so when you get to that last one, remember we are going to be doing that border stitch again. So you're just going to yarn over. This one you're always just going to front post it. And pull through, and pull through. We're going to chain 2, and we're going to turn. Now, what I like to do is kind of keep going until it's about a box. So, normally I would switch, but since it looks like it'll only be one more row, let's go ahead and do one more together so we can really see what it looks like. This one I'm going to go a little bit faster, but I promise you I am not the speediest crocheter. I've seen some people bust out some things in like hyper speed, but hopefully you guys are doing this at home with me. And you're kind of getting a rhythm. You're going to switch to the back post when you get to the middle box. In that way. Okay, and again, switch to that front post. You count, you lose track, and then you have to frog. Yes. Okay, so if you guys are learning crochet language, frogging is definitely not something anybody wants to do, but sometimes becomes necessary, and that is the art of undoing a project. And yes, that is what you risk when you don't count. I tend to be someone who really tries to I really try to like memorize how a stitch looks. So if I'm working in the stitch, I know that the top of the stitch always looks like this, and I know whether or not so once I know where I'm finishing, where I'm ending, I tend to be okay. But I really focus on what the stitch looks like so I can see. There are a few patterns where I have had to count, and I almost never do those because I don't want to. But it is, especially when you're learning something new, I always end up having to count. That final stitch, don't forget, we're just doing another front post. And as you can see, it is already starting to kind of become that recessed version. And hopefully, you're also seeing how clean that line ends up being. You usually don't get a lot of the bumps. You may only have one at the very beginning because of that turning chain, but because we don't have one incorporated, it's a really good way to keep a nice clean edge, especially if you're doing a blanket and stuff. It's going to look real good. Alright guys, so now you can go more rows. Again, if you're making a blanket, you may be doing 20 stitches in a box, and then you may do 20 stitches up in order to get bigger boxes, or you could keep them small and just do a bigger item with small boxes. It just all kind of depends. What I like about this, if you notice, there's not a wrong side or a right side to this project. When you do some other stitches like an alpine stitch or something like that, you'll notice the back, it looks pretty, but it's kind of boring, and then the front is where all your texture is. That's very true, but depending on what you're using it for, it may not matter. I've done that for a wrong side, right side alpine stitch. I've done that one for a blanket, and it's a hit. It's a hit. So it doesn't really matter, but some people want to factor that in to your project. For example, you wouldn't want the wrong side facing the outward version of, or the outward face of your beanie, and then you're like, well great, now I have the ugly side on the outside of my beanie, and that's not really pretty. So just keep that in mind. Okay, let's go ahead and switch boxes. So that means this I literally want to put here, and this I want right here, and that's what's going to help create that checkered look that we're trying to create. And it's really easy, guys. Don't overthink it. All we're going to do is start doing this stitch over here and this stitch over here. So that's what we're doing. But I'll walk you through it because sometimes you just need to see it. We're going to still chain 2 and turn. This looks like a back double crochet, right? Exactly. So we're going to work the opposite. So now we're going to front post double crochet. 1, And you see how it's going to start changing it to vertical lines instead of horizontal. 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's all starting to happen. All right, there we go. So this is our front post double crochet. So we want to work the opposite. So now we're going to do that back post double crochet. So yarn over, find that square, and we're pulling that post to the back, and finish your double crochet. There you go. Finishing that right there, and you see it's creating that horizontal line. And I will do some more rows so you can really see it come together, but you should have something that's looking like that right now. I'm really glad I switched colors. This is easier to see than the gray from last week. You guys got to tell me this stuff, man. Alright, so this is back post. So we're going to work the opposite and pull things towards the front. Boom. Alright, we're at that border stitch again. Nothing is changing. You're going to work a front post double crochet around that last one just to go ahead and give us that border, and it will keep it as clean as possible. Let's go ahead and do another row so you can really see it become more defined. Chain 2 and turn. Alright, and skip that first one because that is a border. And we're going back post double crochet. Don't grab any unnecessary strands. And we're working 5. Okay, you have to be able to start seeing how this is coming out now. So I'm going to keep going. We're going to work 5 front post double crochets. Now one thing you might also notice, at least I'm noticing it right now because I'm using a very coarse acrylic yarn. I hate to say cheap because I have found some really nice cheap yarn, so I'm not going to say cheap, but you know, all acrylic yarn is not created equal. And this one tends to be a little bit more rigid. So now that I've done my swatch and I've seen that, if I were to go and use this yarn for a project, I might go up in hook size because then it will make it a little bit more loose and the yarn should have a better drape. And you just may get a more desired effect. Or if you're the opposite and it's really loose and you're struggling to really see it, you may want to drop down in hook size, and that way you can tighten it up and not have so many open gaps in your work. Don't forget to switch to back post on that stitch right there. And we're doing 5. There we go. And grab that last one. Remember, that last one's a border stitch, so we're just gonna front post double crochet. Guys, this is where we are at, and if you keep going, it'll keep creating the effect. So again, we would have to do one more row, and then we would go back and switch again. So we would then put these stitches over here, whatever this stitch is. After one more row, we would do it here, And you're just going to keep repeating. So I did 3 rows across, or was it 4? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it was 3, right? We did 3 3 stitches. We did 3 rows up. You could try to be like one of those that I'm like, oh, I did 5 stitches across, I must do 5 rows. Sometimes it doesn't work out so well because the double crochet is naturally a tall stitch. So what I often do is for this blanket that I did I seriously just throw that thing out of reach? I might have. Okay, for this one, for example, I did, like, if I remember right, it was like 15 stitches across, and then I think I did 10 rows. So it doesn't always need, I just went off of measurement. So I wanted it to be like a box, and then I just went off of what was close to a box. Or you can choose to keep the boxes small like this and go that route. It's really up to you and what you choose to make it. Remember, I showed you all those examples of how people were using it earlier. It's a stitch that you can kind of manipulate and use as you wish. Now, one thing I did want to show you is we showed you how to get started with chains and then double crochets for that first row. So if you guys are good and you're rocking and rolling, please keep stitching. Maybe just listen, keep me in the back of your mind, let it play so you can see what I'm about to show you. And then come back to the video if you want to try this second approach to starting it. It's nothing too crazy, but what I like about using foundation stitches instead of the typical chain 15, double crochet across, and then continue with your pattern is they tend to have more consistent texture with the rest of your pieces. I was gonna see, you know what, let me switch to this white yarn so you guys can see it a little bit better, because that gray just tends to be a little bit hard. Okay, so foundation stitches. You can do this with single crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, the whole 9. Again, you're just starting with a slip knot. It's just a knot that you don't pull all the way through. Don't complicate it. But Jen, I like to complicate things. Don't worry, I do too. I got you. But in this case, keep it simple. Keep it simple. So we're going to do the same setup as we did here. I just want to show you the difference of what it looks like on the bottom should you want to give this a try. Which meant we had 5 stitches per box, and we had 3 boxes. So I'll do the math, that's 15. And then we again had those border stitches, so 17 in total. So what you're going to do the foundation approach, chain 2, yarn over, and we're going to create the chain as we go. So you're going to insert that hook. I probably turned and I don't want to block it. So you're going to insert that hook into the bump. You can also insert it into the chain. I just always find that it's harder for me to find it. And for some reason, I don't like the way it pulls. It tends to create like a hole or something that I don't really like. So I always go into the back bump, but you guys do what you will. It's neither one's technically wrong or right. Okay, and so we're going to pull up 1, and before we want to finish the chain, so pull up 1 again. I know it feels a little weird because we didn't do that. That's the extra part. Yarn over, pull up 2, yarn over, pull up 2. We're going to keep doing that. So yarn over, insert your hook into the bottom. You should see that little braid right there. And I'm hoping that was easy for you to see. Let me try to, there we go. So yarn over, insert into the bottom. Pull up 1. Don't forget the chain. Pull up 2. Pull up 2. So all you're adding is the extra pull up 1 on the bottom side of this stitch. Yarn over, insert hook into that bottom, pull up 1, pull up 2, pull up 2. So this again is called the foundation double crochet. We want to do 17. I may not do all 17 because you guys pretty much get it. There's nothing different. But this is, oh, you know what, I should do the full, at least so that way you guys can see how the edges look, because that looks really different, and that's why I started using this instead of the typical method of chain 17 and then do 12 double crochets. It just finishes more consistent. There's been projects where that chain, if it's not chained loose enough or something and you have a scarf, it can kind of pull your project in where the chain is, or if you chain too tightly, which is more common for people because the chain stitch is meant to be done loosely, and usually people end up like feeling like they need to overly control the yarn, so they pull things too tight. So it will bow your project. This avoids any bowing or whatnot, and you'll kind of see it here. It kind of like feels like it's kind of sticking out a little bit. It's not super obvious, and nobody's ever noticed. Let's be real, we've been doing it this way for years. I don't think I ever saw anyone doing it this way until recently, and I've been seeing this for as long as I've been crocheting, up until maybe like a year or two ago, maybe. So obviously it's not wrong. I just, oh, way to split the yarn, Jen. Way to split the yarn. But yeah, so not a big deal. I am going to just cheat and turn right here because I want to make sure you guys get to see that it is just the same. Like, you can substitute this anytime you are having a pattern that requires you to chain and then do the first row just one stitch across. You can go ahead and do this effect, which has become my favorite because look, you can still front post. You do have one little small difference right there. It's a little bit higher than what you would have in this scenario. This might be kept a little bit more down, but you still can find and navigate where that post is and pull that post to the front and continue on. So now you know two different ways that you can start your projects. I hope you guys will give the foundation chains a try and some other things. I've started using them on all of my projects if I can. It just, I don't know, it's better. It's better. I like the tension on it. I feel like you can't tell if it's the beginning or the end, and I think that's kind of important when you're making stuff, is to be able to hide the stuff that most people can't. So I guess you could say it makes your projects more professional. I guess that's the best way to say it. I totally messed that. So I'll tell you, this one being high, it can get kind of difficult. You saw how, hold on, yep, back. Just make sure you grab that in the right direction. And then again, this last one still has that extra chain too that we did in the beginning. I'm just going to work the front post double crochet around the whole thing to help hide it. And now you can kind of see that how this looks versus this. It's not a huge change. So that being said, if this is the way you guys were taught and this is what you're comfortable with, I know change can be evil. So go ahead and keep going with it. It's a great way to do it. A lot of projects tell you to start that way. But if you're trying to look for another way just to kind of polish up that starting row, try your foundation stitches, and you'll see that even the way it stretches can be a little bit, this actually has a little bit more tension, but the way it stretches can be a little bit more consistent with the rest of the project and how that goes. So awesome. I'll go ahead and do one more row with this one just so you guys can really see it come together. But if there are any questions in the chat, now's your chance. Otherwise, I will continue answering them for people who watch this after the fact. But yeah, I'm kind of in autopilot right now when it comes to just stitching. And front post, and front post. Now you guys can choose, like if you're doing a blanket, some people are real adamant about doing borders. Feel free to throw a border on if you want. A nice basic just double crochet might look really good. Or even, usually people end up just doing single crochets around and like maybe a couple rows and then whatnot. But honestly, I haven't. When I make this blanket, I do not do a border. I just have that border stitch that we do on the side, and that is it. And I think now with the modern way of leaving things a little bit more kind of raw, it's still very trendy, it's still very popular. So literally, if this was a blanket, once you do that last row, all you have to do when you're done is just cut, take that last one, pull it all the way through, and then you'll pull it tight, and that'll be it. There's no final row. You don't need to wrap anything up. Once you do your final row of stitches, it's done. So this is a great stitch. It's called the basket weave stitch. I'm just going to quickly check my notes, make sure I covered all the different variations. I know we talked about how to make it bulky, so don't forget, if you guys, pound of love yarn. I usually have one lying around. Give me a second. Oh, I was going to tell you guys I shop too much because it's still in plastic. It's pretty bad. But the pound of love yarn, this is a good one. 1,000 yards. When I made a blanket, it took me about 4 of these, and I was working 2 strands at once. If you are comfortable working from both ends, like from the inside and pulling from the outside, you can get away with 3 skeins, but I would much rather have 2 separate side by side, and I'm pulling from both of them from the center, and I work it that way. I used 4, and that left me enough to make 2 scarves after the fact. So if you're someone who's really trying to maximize your yard usage the way I do, that's a great one. The Bernat blanket yarn, when I made this style, probably used about, I'm going off of memory, 5 or 6 skeins, if I remember right. So definitely take a look at that. These chunky ones are great. They're good for gifting. What I like about the chunky yarn is it usually works up faster. So you guys see what we were able to do here. It probably would now be about like this big in the same time frame. So it can feel more rewarding when the project gets completed faster and you see it growing faster. That's always kind of a nice cheat when it comes to crochet, because it definitely is an art of love. It is patience, and all of that is important. So other than that, I think we covered all of my tips and whatnot. I don't see, wow, I like it. I'm glad you like it. I really hope you'll try this one a lot, because the blankets are really fun, and I think when I really get cooking, I can probably get a blanket done in about 2 or 3 days. Of course, that's also depending on what I'm watching, because we all know that sometimes things require more attention than others. If you guys made it through this far and you have not subscribed, now's your last reminder. Go ahead and do that. Set your notifications and everything, because again, I'm going to see you guys next Wednesday at 2 o'clock. If you guys have requests or maybe pictures you've seen and you want to find out how to make that effect, please send it my way. You guys can always put it in the comments below, or you guys can email me, geneticscreations@gmail.com. It is on the YouTube channel, so you guys have access to that. It's also in my links down below. I believe one of them has that information as well. Lastly, check out my Etsy shop. Not only do I have written patterns there that are able to be downloaded and purchased and printed, and you guys can have fun, but I also sell the stuff that I make. So a lot of times when I'm creating these prototypes for the patterns, the items I make are listed on there, and you guys get an exclusive discount. I don't have discounts anywhere, so this is literally just for my students. It is Get Hooked. So use that code. You will save 10% off either the pattern or the item if that's what you end up wanting to buy. GETHOOKED. Put that in at the checkout on Etsy and it will give you 10% off. Lastly, follow the shop. I'll be continuing to list more items there, and it will notify you guys if you end up following it. It'll notify you of any new patterns and whatnot. So other than that, I think that's all I have for this week. Guys, I hope you guys have fun. This is a great one for texture. It's also one that a lot of people see. It stops them in their tracks, but they don't always know what it is. So I hope you guys will try it. Let me know how your projects go. Again, it's good for a lot of different items. I've even seen people make literal baskets out of it, which is even, now that I'm saying it, I need to try that. So anyway, with all the baskets that I see going around, the storage baskets, this would be a great one to put on the side. It would look really, really cute. So I will let that be that. I see no more questions, so I will stay in the loop for any comments that come in after the fact. I will see you guys next Wednesday. We are either going to take this and turn it into a headband, or I think I might dabble into the alpine stitch. I don't know. I have a lot of different ideas in my head, but if you But if you have any requests, please, now's your time. Put it in the chat, and I will see you guys in the next class. Keep stitching. Take it easy, guys. Bye. Take it easy.